Welcome back to Heroic Book Adventures. I'm Steve, and I wanted to sneak in one more entry for Don't Die July. I'm going to link below all of the participants, and thank you to Noah and Ven for hosting this. I'm really looking forward to participating again next year, too. So one of the prompts for Don't Die July is to read a book about cryptids. And being that I live out in the middle of the mountains that are very squatchy, and I've kind of got this thing for tall brunettes that have tossed out their shaving razors. It only made sense that I read a book about Bigfoot. So Max Brooks is mostly known for having written World War Z, but he also wrote Devolution, a first-hand account of the Rainier Sasquatch Massacre. Sorry, I keep seeing something hairy walking out between the trees out there ways. But anyways, the narrator of this story is an investigative journalist that has been covering a volcanic eruption that occurred from Mount Rainier in Washington state. So it's been a huge regional disaster with tons of casualties, and for months now the relief efforts have been real slow. So while he's researching and writing, he gets approached by this man who claims that in the aftermath of the eruption, there was this small remote community that was attacked and massacred by Bigfoot. And he says that he has proof of it because his sister was a member of that community, and her diary, which was found, which documented all the events that were occurring. So the narrator looks into it a little bit, does his due diligence, and sees, yeah, this place does exist, and there's still an ongoing investigation in that. So he says, okay, I'll bite. I'll hear what you have to say and report all my findings here in this book. So this is told in kind of a combination of Katie's diary entries, and then there's parts of interviews he did with this park ranger that was involved in the relief efforts and the investigation. And then there's also like excerpts from books about primate behavior and things like that. So some readers may be turned off by that kind of, fake documentary sort of format to it, but I really thought it fit this type of story. It drew me in and made it feel like it was something kind of real, in the same way that like a found footage or a fake documentary styled movie can really draw you into it if it's done right. So clearly this isn't something that you would call high literature, but it's not meant to be like that, because obviously if it's her diary entries, you would not expect them to have flowery language in them, right? It would just be a normal person writing down their experiences and thoughts on it. So even though the writing is somewhat simplistic in this book, I found it to be rather effective and didn't detract from it in any way. It fit the style of story it's trying to tell. Because somebody that's looking for a classic piece of quality literature isn't going to be reading this anyways. I mean, come on, it's a Bigfoot attack story. But those attack and action sequences in it were really gory and violent. So yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And normally I cringe at the thought of Hollywood getting their hands on any books because, whenever they make an adaptation, their track record is not very good with it. But this is one that I feel like if they did make it into a movie, would be like a good, fun, gory horror movie, and I'd like to watch this one. I keep getting this really strong odor of like rotten eggs and garbage. Hmm. Yeah, this has also got quite a bit of like social commentary about how our just in time delivery system of our supply chain is how fragile it can be in the face of a major disaster, and just how unprepared modern people are for even the basic elements of survival. So there's some of that in there. And if you're not into Bigfoot stories, I wouldn't bother with this one because there's just not going to be a whole lot else in here that you're going to find of interest. But for me, I really enjoyed this one and had fun. I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10 because just throughout the entire thing, I had fun with it. It was just a good, simple, fun read. If there is one complaint I have, it's that the ending was just a little bit weak. Instead of making it a happy ending or an unhappy ending, he kind of left it a little bit open-ended. It almost felt as if he wasn't exactly sure how to close everything out. So the ending was just one of those that felt like a little bit of a cop-out. But in spite of that, it's still worth the read if you're interested in the subject matter. And if this book isn't enough Bigfoot for you, I would also recommend checking out a couple of found footage movies that I enjoyed. There's 2013's Willow Creek, which is about a amateur filmmaker who wants to go out into the woods and create like a little Sasquatch documentary. And his girlfriend is reluctant to go with him, but she decides to tag along just to support his hobby in that. And we all know how unprepared campers going out in the wilderness always turns out. But that one has like this single uncut shot in it that lasts for like 20 minutes. It's got to be the longest single shot I've ever seen in a movie. And that's really hard to pull off right. But the two actors did a good job of keeping the suspense going in through it. So I thought that one was worth watching just for that single scene. There's also 2014's Exists, which is about a group of youngsters that take a trip out to their uncle's remote cabin for a weekend of partying. And on their way in, they hit this strange animal with their vehicle. And shortly after, they find themselves being hunted down by this savage beast. So yeah, if you're into Bigfoot stories, check out this book and those two movies. And if anything does end up happening to me, this video will be my record that I was seeing something out there amongst the trees. So hopefully I will see you tree knocking heroes on our next wilderness adventure.